Hello everyone, we are Katie Pine and Claus Bossen, and we are presenting a TalkHigh paper called Batman and Robin in Healthcare Knowledge Work, Human AI Collaboration by Clinical Documentation Integrity Specialists.
So at this moment in time, AI has been in the news quite a bit, and much of the discourse around AI in both popular and scholarly literature has focused on how and when AI systems will automate tasks that are traditionally performed by humans. However, another stream of literature offers a very different view. This stream of literature makes a more nuanced and complex argument that AI systems are not actually poised to automate human tasks, especially complex tasks that require higher order thinking. Instead, in many cases, AI systems will be incorporated into labor, augmenting rather than automating or replacing human work, while simultaneously transforming the tasks that they augment. So, for example, you may have a physician using an AI system to help support a diagnosis, rather than using that system to actually replace that human labor. So this emerging kind of rich literature on human AI collaboration examines how AI-embedded socio-technical systems should be designed, implemented, and managed to augment human work and extend human cognition. Knowledge work is work that involves the discretionary use of knowledge. And scholars have identified at least 4 forms of knowledge work that are prevalent in organizations across a variety of domains: creating new knowledge, applying existing knowledge to current problems, packaging knowledge to transmit to others, and acquiring knowledge through research and learning. So knowledge work and knowledge workers have long formed a large and still growing section of the professional landscape. This has formed, a crucial body of research in HCI and related fields like CSCW. So developers, researchers, and other stakeholders are seeking to use AI to augment knowledge work. So, for example, develop AI decision support systems that point to the best decisions for treatment given a variety of data points. However, despite the broad interest in augmenting knowledge work with AI, we lack empirical descriptions of how people collaborate with AI in practice as they carry out knowledge work in the wild, and people's perceptions of what makes AI systems useful in human AI collaboration to carry out knowledge work.
So to find out more about human AI collaboration, we studied the knowledge work of clinical documentation integrity specialists, also called CDIs. They work between clinicians and medical coders, and what they do is they code in real time the charts and revise the records if they find documentation that is inconsistent, lacks precision, or is missing information. And they see themselves as detectives discovering missing, incomplete, or inaccurate information, as well as translators of clinicians' documentation language and the language required for coding. And to study the CDIs, we conducted 23 observations and 23 interviews. What you see here is a graphic representation of what is called the CAC, the computer-assisted coding software, which scans records from the electronic healthcare record and then also suggests codes based on natural language processing. And these suggested codes are based on the records, and the CDIs can choose to accept or reject also suggested codes, and they fold the CAC suggestion into the individual reviewing practices as they like. They can inspect the codes through a looking glass, which you see at the center of the graphic, and which, if you click on that, it will bring you to the specific text in the record that has triggered this code. Then after accepting the codes, the CAC will subsequently calculate the metrics by which a chart will be evaluated. So when working with the CAC, the CDIs interweave their individual work practices with it, and they use the CAC to experiment with different coding scenarios to test out which scenario works out best. And through their experience, they have found that the CAC is predictably unreliable. That means it makes many, often humorous errors, but the errors are to some extent predictable and understandable for the CDIs. And in the end, it saves them work, so the CAC is perceived as quite useful, despite the high rate of errors that it produces. So when talking about the CAC, the CDIs, they use metaphors like it's a little brother, or they would say, I'm Batman, the CAC is Robin, which is what triggered the title for this paper, or they would say the CAC is a backup, or it's a double check on their coding work. So the question is, why does the CDI AI collaboration work? And the CAC is error-ridden, but the CDIs still find it useful and beneficial. And going through our data, we found that it's because the CDIs are mostly in control of the work process. The CAC is mostly transparent. They can inspect the CAC suggestions, and the CDIs develop an understanding of how the CAC works. And to some extent, the errors will become predictable to them. And in the end, the CDIs see themselves as having more and crucial expertise, which the CAC will not be able to replace.
Thank you so much for listening to our talk. We hope to correspond with you about this work if it interests you at all. So our email addresses are here, as well as our references. Thank you so much.